All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Sean McCoy. I'm the owner of Federal Employee Benefits Advocates. We're going to talk today about the federal employee market. It's a large untapped market. And today we're joined by our Senior Business Development to the West, David Kramer, myself, and Nick Woodward, who's our online strategist. So I'm assuming you're joining the webinar today because you're looking for an opportunity in a pretty much undiscovered niche market. One of the questions that I normally get when we're starting this is, why would you want to work with federal employees? Well, for one thing, the demographics make them very attractive. The federal workforce, nearly 39% is age 50 or older, compared to only about 24% in the private sector. The average federal employee is 47 years of age with about 16.3 years of service. And according to the Office of Personnel Management, 1 out of every 3 federal employees will begin to be eligible to retire by 2018. So to put that into perspective, there's about 2.7 million federal employees, which means in the coming years, there's about 776,000 people that will be eligible to retire. The other misnomer about the federal market is people don't think federal employees are very well paid, when the fact of the matter is that they are. They must be competitively paid in order to compete with the private sector. There are some folks, depending on their job description and locations, that make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they are competitively paid. The other thing is, as far as the disbursement of federal employees, about 85% of all federal employees work outside of the Metro DC area. And some of the largest states would include California, Texas, Virginia, Maryland, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, and Georgia. Now, federal employees need your assistance. I've been working now with federal employees for about 10 years. I've been in the financial services industry for about 30. My company is an educational company. We don't share in anyone's commission. We're not an IMO or FMO or hooked to any kind of insurance company for that matter. But in the course of working with federal employees over the last 10 years, one of the things that I found is that they really need your assistance. Unlike private sectors companies who have oftentimes very large HR departments that are able to disseminate information to them, the federal government does not have that type of resources. And so there are basically 7 areas that possibly you could assist federal employees in working with them. The first thing is the pension income alternative, sometimes referred to as pension max, where effectively you're helping people to determine the appropriate selection for their pension benefits. And oftentimes that need can be solved by utilizing some type of permanent form of life insurance. Another area of assistance, and this is one that I find quite often that federal employees are not aware of, is the new system, which are those individuals hired after 1984, called the Federal Employee Retirement System, or FERS. If they have less than 10 years of service and they're not 62 with at least 5 years of service, they don't have a pension. And so that's a risk that most of them are not aware that they face. Also, there's a possibility that if there's no family member, such as a child receiving a benefit for a minor, then they would lose the health insurance at the employee rate. So that represents risk. And again, that risk can be taken care of oftentimes with some form of life insurance. Another opportunity, particularly for those individuals that do asset management or gather assets, is in the area of the thrift savings plan. First, they need help in determining where they need to allocate their assets while they're employed, and they often need choices after they retire that gives them more flexibility than the current thrift savings plan. Now, the thrift savings plan is the largest pension plan in the world. It has over $365 billion, and the incredible shocking news is that 40% of all of the money that's invested in the TSP is in their guaranteed or their government fund, which may or may not keep pace with inflation. Another area that is possibly available to assist federal employees, now this program is only available to the CSRS and CSRS offset, which would be those individuals hired prior to 1984, is a program called the Voluntary Contribution Program. This is a program that allows them to put up to 10% of everything they've earned on an after-tax basis. And by virtue of a law change in 2008, it allows them to transfer those assets into a Roth IRA. And so this potentially could be a great opportunity to help someone shelter income from taxes by using this voluntary contribution program. The other area of assistance, well, before we get to that, let me give you a little bit of a teaser here. This comes from the Office of Personnel Management and the Thrift Savings Board. This gives you a breakdown of the balances that are currently in the TSP. As you can see, there's over almost 5 million people that participate in the TSP. And when you look at the number, you have over 9,500, almost 9,600 people that have over $1 million. And of course, there's a sweet spot again in there for the folks with the 50 to 250, and then the 250 to 500,000. And you can see their tenure. So this just, again, is a little thing to kind of encourage you, particularly for those of you that do asset management or that type of investing. The other areas of assistance come in the form of their risk management. So they have a federal employee group life insurance. It's the largest life insurance program in the world with over 4 million participants. And what happens is they have multiple coverages available, a basic, an option A, and an option B, and an option C. Well, the option B coverage, which is a salary multiple up to 5 times, when they start getting into their 50s, the costs start to go up exponentially. And so that represents a great opportunity, perhaps to combine with some of the other needs to take care of the needs that they may have in the area of life insurance. A next to last area that they have is disability. They don't really have a true disability plan. They have a disability retirement plan. And so as a result, it is a program that could be very devastating if they did go out on disability, because after the second year, they only get a 40% payout offset by 60% of Social Security. So this in and of itself could be a disability type of program, or it may be something combined with life insurance with other living benefit riders. The final area of assistance is one that affects most all Americans, has to do with long-term care. Now, they do have a long-term care insurance plan available through their employer. It's administered by John Hancock. But again, it does not necessarily have all the bells and whistles that you might see in private sector plans that would be available. The other thing to remember too is that federal employees are not governed by state law or state statutes, nor are they governed by ERISA. They are governed by federal law and federal statutes. So it literally takes an act of Congress and a signature from the president in order to change their benefits. And their benefits are very complex. Now, at this point, there's probably 2 questions you should be asking yourself. First, what's the best way to find new prospects and turn them into clients? And then how can I get the professional knowledge I'll need to work with the feds? Well, that's what we're here to help you provide the solution to those 2 questions. We offer 2 different types of programs that are available through Federal Employee Benefits Advocates. The first is our hands-on FedEd Advisor Training Program, where we help you to give you the knowledge, the tools, and the support that you'll need in order to work with federal employees. The next area we have is for those individuals that might be interested in doing seminars, educational seminars to help you build relationships with federal employees. So let's just take a moment and go into each of these 2 programs, and we'll start first with our FedEd program. Now, the FedEd program, the way it is set up is this is a hands-on 2-day class. I'm often asked if we will deliver this via webinar or we can do this self-study, and we don't do it that way. And the reason being is my experience has been in delivering this class to hundreds of advisors is to attempt to try to do it over a webinar because of the volume of material would not go over very well. I've attempted that before and we just did not have good results. The other thing is I'm able to share with you my experience in terms of the time that I've spent speaking with federal employees. Over the last 10 years, I've probably spoke to somewhere in the neighborhood of between 17 to 18,000 federal employees and literally have done hundreds of briefings. And so it helps me to bring that to the table. So the way we start our program is we begin with a study guide. The pre-class study guide comes to you about 2 weeks prior to the class. This is designed to give you information to get you started and ready and prepared for the class. Much the same as if you took a pre-licensing class for your insurance exam, or if you took a securities license. Oftentimes, if you attend those classes, they will send you that information in advance to have you prepped for the class. The information in there is going to give you an overview of all the topics, excuse me. It's going to give you an overview of all the topics that will be covered in the class. When you arrive at the class, you'll get what's called the classroom workbook. This is a hands-on class, because what we actually do is we take you through the various calculations that you need in order to work with federal employees. Now, again, later on, you'll find out about a software program that we provide with the class, but this helps you to understand how the calculations are derived, and it also provides you with the ability, if you do need to do those calculations without the software, you're prepared to do so. This also will become a valuable resource guide for you after the class to go back and reference this in conjunction with the pre-study guide to help you to better understand the federal benefits. Probably the best part of our class is the marketing part of the class. That's where we teach you how to create an effective marketing plan for this niche market. We've created a proprietary program called Identify, Locate, and Communicate, where we teach you how to identify the opportunities at a very macro level, and then we go down to the micro level, to the level that you can actually locate individual employees either at their home or at their place of business. In some cases, you may find phone numbers, or some cases you may find emails only, but we give you important demographic information about them, along with helping you to understand how much that these people are earning and what their job titles and descriptions are. So again, the purpose of this class and this portion of the class is to teach you how to build your own organic list for the purposes of prospecting directly to federal employees, to offer them a benefits analysis, or to prospect directly to federal agencies for the purposes of doing on-site benefit briefings, or if you wanted to do some combination where you did an off-site seminar, then you can set that up as well. So again, we do provide you with those tools, which include how to access the information along with some communication pieces that are available. We also provide you with a basic marketing strategy that you can use when you leave the class to help you put together your business plan. In addition to that, we also have a large array of client-facing material. This material can be customized to represent your particular information. If you are securities registered, or if you're an investment advisor representative or an IAR, we can also work with your compliance department to make sure that any of the client-facing material is in fact approved by your broker-dealer and has the appropriate disclosure language. Now, I do have to point out, we will not co-brand this material for you or your firm or your broker-dealer. We will simply allow it to be put into a fashion where you can let them know who you are and what your firm does. In addition to that, we have a wide array of prospecting pieces in terms of postcards. These postcards essentially are ordered through our online order system. You provide the data, and the cards can be generated with your contact information if you're looking to do a benefits briefing off-site, or if you just want to have someone that you want to prospect to for the purposes of doing a benefits analysis. Let me be very clear now, we do not provide the list to put these postcards together. We can print them for you. If you have 1,000 or more names, we can set up through our printing services to have them printed and mailed out from the printing location. But again, I want to be clear, these are postcards that you would order, you would put the stamp on, as well as the address information. Again, we can do that. If you have 1,000 or more names, we can work with our printer vendor to be able to get that accomplished for you. In addition to that, we also provide you with a software tool from a company called Ready's Retire Solutions. They're based out of Dallas, Oregon, and they have a software program that's designed specifically for the federal employee. It's called the Federal Gap Analysis. Now, the reason we use Ready Retire Solutions is because we've had a long-standing relationship with them for almost 10 years, but they also have, as a part of this software, an upgradable version so that you can upgrade to a version that has all of the state DB plans. So if you're working with a individual in the state of Maryland and they're a Maryland state employee, you would be able to get their information about their defined benefit plan from their state government. Also, with this program, they also have a version where if you are wanting to illustrate Pension Max, you can also get a Pension Max model, which in my opinion probably does one of the best jobs I've ever seen of illustrating and putting the concept and the numbers to the Pension Max. In addition to that, we also provide you with a digital resource guide. The digital resource guide has about 100 different, excuse me, not 100, about 85 different forms and pamphlets that are going to be used to supplement your knowledge on the federal benefits, as well as certain forms that you might need in the course of working with federal employees. Now, we do this to help you with your learning curve and helping you to make sure that you have the information available to you. And these are set up so that they are segmented into each of the sections that are appropriate for them. So, for example, you see information on Social Security, TSP, FERS, FEGLI. All of these come on the digital resource guide when you come to the class. Now, once you've completed the class, we do give you the ability to take an online exam. Now, there is no designation that goes with this class, but we do permit you to take an online exam. It's 75 questions. You have 2 hours to complete it. If you successfully complete it, we will send you a framed certificate. So unlike a lot of the other classes you might attend where you get a certificate and ends up in the top of your desk drawer or in a file, we go ahead and put it in a nice frame and send it out to you at the successful completion of the class. So again, we have a comprehensive program. This program has a pre-study guide. It's the 2-day classroom workbook along with the marketing workbook. We also provide you with the software from Ready Retire Solutions. In addition to that, you have the online exam, and you also have the digital resource guide. Now, the cost of this class is $16.95 per person. We do not discount the cost of this class simply because of the cost. One of the big costs that we have is the cost of the software. Now, we do have a class coming up, excuse me, on February the 5th and 6th. It's going to be in downtown Baltimore at the Crown Plaza. We already have a block of rooms set up at a nice rate of $99 plus tax. And everyone that participates in this call, whether it's live or recorded, will get an invitation to sign up for the class. So at this point, Nick, let's open it up and see what kind of questions we might have from folks on the phone.
All right. Let me just unmute everybody. Try doing it manually so we don't get any feedback. We don't have any chat questions, but if anybody has any questions, they should be able to just shout them out at this point.
What's the cost of the software?
Sean, are you still there? Did we lose you?
Yes, no, I'm sorry. I muted myself. I apologize. Yes, sir. The cost of the software is about $600, but I get a discount for it. And because I buy such a large number from them each year, but that's about the street price of the software only.
And that's
additional questions? Go ahead.
And that's
Go ahead.
That's provided by who?
The cost of software vendor is from a company called Ready Retire Solutions. They're a third-party vendor that we use. They're based out of Dallas, Oregon, and they've been doing software solutions for many, many years. So we've partnered with them now for probably close to 10 years in terms of having a relationship with them. There's other software out there that I've looked at, but I don't think it's as comprehensive as this software, plus the ability to upgrade to some of the other features which the other firms don't offer.
Yeah, a lot of firms, they do an annual renewal. Do you know what that would be?
I have no idea, sir. I really don't. What I do is I buy it for the first year, and then you renew it at a discounted rate. And so I don't know what the renewal rate on that would be, but certainly if you have additional questions, you can go to Ready Retire Solutions, or if you choose to, after the class, you're welcome to give me a call, and I will seek that information out for you, sir.
Okay.
Any additional questions? All right, Nick, well, let's mute everybody back up, and we'll keep going.
Sounds good.
So the other program that we have available is our Federal Employee Benefits Advocate Seminars, or FEBA Seminars. Now, these are educational seminars that are designed to help you educate federal employees about the benefits. One of the things that I've learned over the last 10 years is the federal employees really need your help. Actually, there's a federal mandate that federal agencies are supposed to provide financial literacy at the early, mid, and late career. And most agencies do not have the ability to deliver that. They might deliver it somewhat myopically by bringing someone in from the Office of Personnel Management to talk about their pension. You occasionally will see webinars that are hosted on this, but nobody is really providing them with the holistic overview of their benefits, and that's what this program is designed to do. So the way the program is structured for the seminars, they are broken down by each of the retirement systems. So you have the old system, which are the individuals who were hired prior to 1984. Now that group is a dwindling group. I saw a statistic the other day that said only about 2.5% of the federal population now consists of CSRS. So you're talking around 52,000 people that are still in the system that are comprised of the CSRS. That system closed out 34 years ago, and one of the basic criteria to retire is you must be age 55 with 30 or more years of service. So a lot of the people are just hanging around waiting for their age before they depart. Now that briefing, along with the FERS briefing, are set up as both full day and half day modules. So those full and half day modules, the half day is typically runs from 8 to say 12 o'clock, and then the full days would run 8 to 4. So it gives you the ability to kind of customize the presentation based on the needs of the group and the time frame that they have. In addition to that, each of the CSRS or the FERS briefings have independent module briefings that come along with it. So they're built into the package. And so if you wanted to go out, say, and do a lunch and learn on the pension or the life insurance or the health insurance or the TSP or Social Security, you have the ability to use those as modularized sections. Again, when you license the seminar material, it comes with that those independent modules, and it also has supporting materials that go along with each one of them. In addition to that, we also offer a full and half-day financial literacy briefings. These really cover areas besides the federal benefits. So it would go into things like risk management, budgeting, cash flow, estate planning, defining different types of investment products. What's an annuity, what's life insurance, what are the different types of retirement plans, an IRA, 401k, solo K. So this is usually done in conjunction. Most of the time when I deliver these, I only deliver them in a half day after I've done either a FERS or a CSRS briefing. Our most recent seminar is divorce and its effect on federal employees. And that's something that actually I took about 1.5 years for me to create. And I'll go into that a little bit more detail here in just a moment. So the way that these programs are set up, they do have books that come along with the courses. In order to order the materials, you must be a licensee. I don't permit people just to buy the books. The way that they're set up is they're professionally printed. You'll see that this is an example of a front cover. They come coil bound with a plastic cover over the front and a hard cardstock on the back. And so they're really useful tools for the federal employees. The inside of the material is black and white. It's not color. If you want to print them in color, we can do that, but it's quite expensive to do if you choose to do something like that. And so what it does is it has a copy of all of the slides that are used in the course of the presentation. A lot of work went into these creation of these slides so that not only can they read the slides, but they have an appropriate amount of space in order to put the notes. Also, where necessary, we also do graphical content to help people understand some of the more complex concepts that occur within the federal employee arena. In addition to that, one of the outstanding features that we offer that differentiates us from pretty much anyone else that does this is our benefits worksheet. And what this allows the federal employee to do is as you're going through the class, it allows them to actually complete some of their actual own numbers. And in doing so, it does a couple of things. The first thing it does is it allows the employee to look at that information holistically. Now, I've had some advisors say, why would you do that? Because it dissuades them from wanting to meet with me. And I would tell you that's just the opposite, because after they sit down and they go through this worksheet, what they find is that, in fact, they need help to get the rest of the sheet filled out, and it makes them realize that there's things they haven't thought about as they've prepared for retirement. The other thing that it also can be utilized for is it can be utilized as a basic fact finder, so that if they do sit down with you after a seminar, this gives you some of the information that they'll need and you'll need in order to perform the analysis of their benefits. In addition to that, if you do license the material, we also have an announcement. That announcement would come to you as a form fillable PDF with any appropriate disclosure information. And this is what you would send out in advance of your seminars to help them to understand exactly what you would be presenting. Now, again, this is generally used if you're going through a point of contact with the federal government. We have other materials that we can also make available if you want to do off-site seminars. In addition to that, one of the things that we also provide as service after the sale is a summary report. And essentially what happens is when a briefing is conducted, all of the seminar material in the very back of it has an evaluation form. So the evaluation form allows you to evaluate the materials that are covered in the class, allows them to evaluate the speaker, gives them an opportunity to place any notes, and at the bottom of the page is the contact information. That's what you're looking for, is the way to follow up with the federal employees. Because one of the things you have to be especially careful of is if you are working with federal employees, by federal law, you're not allowed to solicit on federal property. So you can't give out business cards and pamphlets. Otherwise, you put yourself in jeopardy to be ejected from the facility. And oftentimes, if that happens, you're not able to come back on the federal property. And so what this report does is it does a couple things. The first thing is it scores the evaluations both numerically and as a percentage. And what it allows you to do is to demonstrate to the point of contact that you actually did what you said you were going to do and it was well received. The second thing that it does is it allows you to sit down with the point of contact afterwards and possibly request an opportunity to do additional seminars, or potentially give you the opportunity to work with other agencies that they may have contacts with to get referrals. In addition, what happens is all the evaluation forms are scored and then they are put into a PDF file. And so it makes it easy for the point of contact to be able to push this around to supervisors and upper management, because it is in a PDF file. It also completes the requirements for the financial literacy to make sure that they have documented the training. Now, this is an example of the financial literacy material that we have. Again, this is generic. This could literally be used for anyone in the country. And oftentimes what we find in these seminars is that people will bring their non-federal spouses, and it helps the federal employee as well as the non-federal spouse to understand how their benefits work. And again, this is a separate set of materials that can be licensed. As I mentioned earlier, our most recent seminar is divorce and its effect on federal employees. I took quite a bit of time, as I mentioned earlier, about 1.5 years to put this together. I did extensive research, both from OPM. I also contracted with some experts in the field to review my material. And basically, I've tested this a couple times. This year, I went to the Federal Employed Women's Conference in Atlanta, and I delivered this seminar. It was very well received. And I also delivered it this summer in July at the Blacks in Government Conference in New Orleans. And so this is, in essence, a niche within a niche, because federal employees, unlike other employees who are covered under ERISA, have some very strict rules that must be followed and adhered to. And if they're not, it can really put the federal employee future in peril because of the cost associated with sharing some of the benefits. Plus, if it's not done correctly, it can cause their retirement to be delayed. And so this is designed to be either completed in a 2.5 or a 4-hour version that you would deliver, and this is designed to be off-site. So we have all of the materials that you need for this. On the when you license the material, you get the pre-class checklist along with the other things that you want to do to be prepared. And again, this would be a seminar that you could probably charge for. Again, if your broker-dealer or your registered investment advisor may or may not allow you to do that. But again, it's an opportunity. I've even had some advisors have discussed possibly offering this to attorneys in the area as a way to generate some activity for referrals. So again, this is our newest piece, and it's the one that we hope this next year will really produce some additional results for the advisors who utilize it. So again, Federal Employee Benefits Advocate Seminars, FEBA Seminars, we offer complete programs that give you the communications, the complete training, the benefits workbooks, as well as these summary reports. And the cost of these vary. Depends on how many of these that you license would determine the cost on the programs. So why don't we do this, Nick? Let's go ahead and open it up for additional questions and see what we come up with.
Understood. I'll unmute one more time. And I think anybody who wants to is good to go.
Okay.
One quick
right.
question.
Yes.
We're not allowed to do seminars on base. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct.
Okay.
What you're referring to is there's a law that was put into effect, excuse me, that deals with prospecting to military personnel because there were some abuses.
Yes.
But I would say, yeah, probably 95% of the seminars that I conduct are actually done on federal property. As a matter of fact, this week I was just up at Fort Belvoir conducting seminars in that for 2 days up there. And so, yeah, I would say probably 95% of the seminars I do are actually on a military installation. One of the other things I did not mention in the class about the class is the other thing we teach you how to do is to become a federal contractor so that you can get what's known as a cage code to help you to be able to give additional credibility, which means you have been vetted by the federal government's procurement system. That is one of the other things that we do teach you in the Fed Ed class. So if there's additional questions.
Yeah, that's a very good point right there that you just mentioned. I think that's a great advantage, especially if you're around, 50,000, 60,000 federal employees and military.
Right. All right. Additional questions that we would have about the program? All right, Nick, let's mute them and we'll go into the next part of this. So this is our standard pricing model. All of the seminars have a licensing fee. What does that mean? That means that you're not buying the seminar, you're licensing it, which means that we retain all the rights to the intellectual capital and property, and you're not allowed to basically reproduce it and distribute it to other people. Now, the cost for the program is initially $2,500. That's the licensing fee, and then it has a $500 renewal. That's for both the CSRS and the FERS. Those are independent licenses. They are single license users, which means if someone else other than yourself is going to participate, we need to talk about a site license. Now, we do offer those in certain limited cases if we have enough individuals at a particular site. The financial literacy, that is $2,000. And then all of these have a $500 renewal fee, and the divorce, which is not listed on here, that's set for $2,500. Now, one of the things that we are going to be offering is we're going to be offering a bundling package. We already have this on our website, but we're going to be promoting this here right after the first of the year, which essentially is going to allow you to bundle a number of these programs for a pretty steep discount. So we'll make that available. Now, if you, for some reason, decide that you want to license the material, but maybe you don't want to speak, or maybe you want us to come out and do it the first time for you, we will do that. We charge you $1,500 a day plus reasonable travel expenses, and the participant workbooks are $10 for full day, $8 for half day, and then the modules range from $2 to $3. Now, again, that's if you've licensed the material. If you haven't licensed the material, but you'd like for us to come out and speak, we charge $2,000 per day. If you do more than 2 days, we will offer some discounts, but you do also pay the reasonable travel and the cost for the book. So what we do is we bill you a minimum of 30 days in advance for the speaking fee, and then we bill you in arrears for the actual travel expenses and the books. And what we will do is, prior to coming out, we'll give you a cost estimate on what our expected costs will be. You also have to sign, if you do license the material, you sign a licensing agreement, and you also, if we come out and speak, you do sign a speaking agreement, and it discloses all the terms and conditions of the speaking or the licensing agreement. And so those are the programs that we offer. As I mentioned, we are having a class February 5th and 6th. It will be held in Baltimore. It'll be downtown at the Crown Plaza. And we do have blocks of rooms already set up for $99 plus tax. No meals will be provided. Those will be on your own. But the hotel costs will be on your own. So that will be the $16.95 for the Fed Ed class that will be held on February 5th and 6th, 2019. All right, Nick, let's open it up one more time for additional questions. And here's my contact information. So if you do have additional questions that you want to follow up with, you can check out our website at febadvocates.com. You can call me on our office line at 720-432-3331, or you can email me at Sean@FEBadvocates. So Nick, let's go ahead and open it up and see if we have any closing questions.
Everybody's unmuted, so we should be good to go. If anybody has a question, just shout it out.
I'm going to be the one asking a question again. Okay. The licensing fee, I'm going to go back to that slide. Okay. It's $2,500 plus $500. Okay. To renew it right there.
Correct.
On top where it says initial programming licensing fee. I guess you probably can't see my mouse. Right underneath it, okay, is initial program license fee, $2,500, including full day of FERS, okay? So, because you said there's so few people, there's only 13, hold on, let me read back my notes, okay? There's less than a certain percentage, you said, that are in the SERS right now. I think it was
yes,
like 3% or
2.5%. Yeah, 2.5%. Yep.
2.5%. Okay. So probably a guy doesn't need to do the SERS. We just need to do the FERS.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're going to come out in our bundling program in January is we're going to essentially say if you license the FERS, we're going to throw in the CSRS at no cost because there is such a small number of them. But I'll give you an example. I did a briefing this week. I had 8 CSRS people in my class. I did a briefing earlier this year. I had 30 CSRS in my class. So it really depends on the agency. You know, the more research-oriented they are, the longer they tend to stay. One of the things we didn't mention is if you do license the material, we can also provide you with special provisions that would include federal law enforcement officers, firefighters, air traffic controllers. Those are also submodules, and we provide those on demand because there's not a lot of people that work with those particular markets. But anyway, so yeah, what additional questions would you have?
Okay, the $2,000, okay, it includes a full day and a half day program on financial planning.
Financial literacy, yes. Yeah, financial literacy, yes, sir.
Okay, and that covers then their part of, I guess, knowledge and stuff like that. So you could go to the director, okay, let's just say of, you know, like the GS-15 that's in charge of a bunch of people out there, and go talk to them, and that would then be a part of their annual training.
Right. Typically what they do, just to, and by the way, who am I speaking with?
This is Jeff Service.
Okay. Yeah, Jeff. So typically typically what you see, Jeff, is they'll typically have you come out and do the FERS or CSRS full day, and then usually a half a day format for the financial literacy. It says financial planning. I actually changed the name of it earlier this year to financial literacy. Yeah. But yes, that will fulfill their requirements. And on the prospecting material that I provide to you, it actually references that, it actually referenced that federal statute, which is the US 5 USC, I believe is the statute that requires them to provide financial literacy at the early, mid, and late career.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Additional questions? All right. Again, if there's no...
On that
Go ahead.
last slide, okay, I see it now. It's FEBadvocates.com.
Yep. All right. Well, Nick, if there's no additional questions, I want to thank everybody for giving us a little bit of time today. If you do have additional questions, please feel free to give me a call or email me. And as I said, everyone that's participated in the class, in the webinar, we'll send you out a recording of the webinar along with an invite and a link to the class. I will point out that the class will be limited to the first 20 people to enroll. If we get above that amount, we'll have to shut it down simply because that's just too many people to try to go through the material, and the amount of time that it would take to do that would go beyond our 2-day window. So again, if you do want to register, we will shut the registration off 2 weeks prior to the class, and then the hotel rooms will be shut down for that block rate on the 15th of January. So again, if there's no additional questions, thank you all. Have a great weekend and be safe. Thanks.